Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Samech Beis Amud Beis at the very top. The Gemara brings back a previously quoted Bryce in the name of Rabbi Meir Omar Mar. Chatzeiro shel akum harehu kedir shel behemo. The chutz of an akum is considered to be like a corral of an animal. That implies that he is not oiser. He does not restrict the Jew's usage of that chutzner. Only the Jew, when he has residency in the chutzner, he then restricts carrying from the house of the akum to the chutzner. But the akum does not oiser the Jew from carrying from his house to the chutzner. The Mishnah says the opposite. Hadar ima akum b'chutzner areza oiser lov. Our Mishnah seems to imply the opposite, that the one who dwells with the akum will, yes, restrict him from using the chutzner. So we have a contradiction. On the one hand, the Brisa seems to imply that the akum is not going to restrict the Jew. On the other hand, the Mishnah seems to say the opposite. Answers the Gemara lo kasha, it's not a contradiction. Ha di'isei, ha delesei. The Mishnah says that the akum is, yes, going to then restrict the Jew. That's talking about when the akum is present. The Brisa, however, which says that he's not going to restrict the Jew, is talking about when he's not present. Ikesover dira beloy bailim shmodi. My kesover. Ask the Gemara, what is the opinion of Rabbi Meir? What does he really hold then? After all, ikesover dira beloy bailim shmodira. If he holds that the dira without bailim being present is considered to be a dira, then afilu akum nami nitzar. Even the akum should also then should restrict the Jew when he's not present. V'i kesovar dira beloy bailim lo shma dira afilu yisor nami lo nitzar. And if he holds that a dira beloy bailim is not considered to be a dira, then why is the Yisrael going to oiser when he's not present? And therefore, let's be consistent. What is the sheet of Rabbi Meir? Does he hold that dira beloy bailim is shma dira or not? Samar says, Lo oilam kesavar dira beloy bailim lo shma dira. It's not considered to be a residency. If it's not a residency, then that implies that should not affect the restriction of the Jew when the person is not present. So therefore, why is it that it's going to then be restrictive even when the Jew is not present? Says the Gemara of Yisrael, Dechi Isei Osar. Since when the Yisrael is present, he needs to make Erev Chatzeros, and it's restrictive otherwise. Ki leise gozu be'rabbanon. And therefore, even when he's not present and there's no need to then make Erev Chatzeros, the Chacham were concerned that when he would come back, he may also think that you don't need Erev Chatzeros. So therefore, they were gozer even when he's not present. Akum dechi isei gezero shema yilma mimaisov. The akum, the whole gezerah for the akum is that we should not learn from the ways of the akum. And therefore they did not want to encourage, or they wanted to discourage, which is more strongly, that they want to discourage a Jew from living in the same chutzner as the akum. So that's all relevant when the akum is present. And therefore, ki isei oser, ki lesei loy oser. When he is present, then he will then be influential on the Jew. But if he's not present, there's no such concern. So therefore, is not going to be oiser. Ask the Gemara, even when he's not present, are you going to say that the akum is not going to restrict the Jew? The Mishnah seems to say the opposite. One who leaves his house for Shabbos and he goes to another city, Rebbe Meir says, without distinction, whether it's a Jew or a Gentile that goes away for Shabbos, he will then restrict the usage of that chutzner. So you see over here that even when the akum is not present, he is oiser. Answers Gemara, no. In that Mishnah that we just quoted, Hasam di asi biyomi. When he went away for Shabbos, he went away close enough that he can return on Shabbos. Then it's going to be oiser even when the akum is not present, because he can return on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, Vaiter Omar of Yehuda Mar Shmuel, Halacha kiRabbi Eliezer be Yaakov. He says the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that requires that there be two Jews in the same chutzner, as the akum in order for the akum to be oiser on the Jews. But if it's one, not. And therefore he was doresh berabim that this is the halacha. Rav Huna Omar minhag kerebi Lesin ben Yaakov. The minhag is like Rebbe Lesin ben Yaakov, and therefore if somebody, he would not doresh this berabim that as a halacha, but if somebody would come and ask him individually, then he would say, this is the halacha, that you are only oiser, he's only oiser on the Jews if it's two or more, but if it's one, not. Rabbi Yochanan Omar Nahagu Am ki Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rabbi Yochanan said, we don't doish this berabim, and we will not then even paskin this the halacha to the yachid. But if somebody already was noheg this way, so we will not protest, and therefore we'll let him be. In other words, if there was only one Jew together with the akum and the chatzir, and he was going to then continue to use the chatzir with his erev chatzeros, he was going to be able to continue carrying rather from the chatzir to his bayis, we will not then protest. Omar le'abai Rav Yosef kai malon mishnas Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov kavanochi. We establish like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov because he teaches very few halachos, and when he teaches the halachos, when they say that they are yashar and they're accepted therefore as to be the definitive halacha, the absolute halacha. V'om Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel halacha Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and they said in the name of Shmuel that halacha is indeed like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Ask the Gemara Mao la'oruye b'makam rabbi. So Abai asks, was this being then taught in the presence of his Rebbe? Omar lei. So Rav Yosef then answered Abaye, afilu bi'asa bekutecha. Even when it comes to a clear-cut halacha that is very simple, one cannot then paskin that halacha in front of his Rebbe, like a kutecha. Like a bias of bekutcha. A bias of bekutcha is a beya, is a egg in a type of milk with bread. In other words, we know that chicken and milk is aser, but everybody knows that the egg is not going to be aser when it's mixed together with milk. So therefore, even such a clear-cut halacha, one cannot paskin in front of his Rebbe. Boy, meaning Rav Chizda, Koshoni, the Rav Huna, all of the years that Rav Chizda was asked Shailos, in the years that Rav Huna, his Rebbe, was alive, V'loi Ori, he would not then paskin. Omar le Rabbi Yaakov bar Abba la Abaye, Kigon, Megillas Tainis the Kisiva Umancha. What about when it comes to Megillas Tainis, when it's written down? Megillas Tainis are certain days that are recorded as being days where we don't have fast days because a certain event happened in history that was a nace for Klal Yisrael. And therefore, many of these days also there's not hesped either. So he asked, even in such days, is that also so? Ma'ula arui ba'asra derabi, can one also then paskin this in the locale of his Rebbe? Or malei hochi am Rabbi Yosef. So Abaye said, this is what Rabbi Yosef had said. Even an egg in this milk together with bread, he cannot paskin. So too over here, we're not be able to paskin in the presence of his Rebbe. Boy, minim Rav Chizda, they asked Rav Chizda several questions. Koshani de Rav Chizda v'lo ori. In all of the years that his Rebbe Rav Huna was alive, was present, he did not answer those shailas. He didn't want to paskin halacha in the presence of his Rebbe, Rav Huna. Rav Chizda ori bekafri b'shnei de Rav Huna. However, he did paskin in another locale where Rav Huna was not present, even though Rav Huna was alive. On top of Samach Gimel at Aleph. Rav Hamnuna ori becharto de Argiz b'shnei de Rav Chizda. Rav Huna paskin in an area called Charta de Argiz while his Rebbe Rav Chizda was alive. Ravina sar sakina bebavel. Ravina, he removed a shchita knife and he felt to see that it was smooth and that it was going to be usable and permitted for shchita, which is normally given to the Rav as a cover to then feel the shchita knife. And he did it on his own, Ravina did. Omar Rav Ashi, his Rebbe Rav Ashi, the one who was the Rav of the city, he said to Ravina, "My taima ovad mar hochi." he turns to Ravina and said, why did he do that? Why did he then go ahead and feel the shechita knife and not give it to him, who's the Rav? Because after all, we find that Rav Hamnuna, he did paskin in the area of Chartid the Argis, while Rav Chisda was alive because it was a different locale. Omarle loy ori itmar. It was taught that he did not paskin. Omarle itmar ori v'itmar lo ori. B'shnei de Rav Huna b'rei hu lo ori. In the years of his Rebbe Rav Huna, he did not paskin. V'ori b'shnei de Rav Chisda. But he did paskin in the years of Rav Chisda, because the Talmid Chaver Dilei Hava, because he was somebody who learned from him, but he was of equal status. He was called a Talmid Chaver. So there he was able to paskin. Va'ananami Talmid Chaver Demar Ana. And I, says Ravina, is a Talmid Chaver of you, Rav Ashi. Although I've learned from you, but because I'm an equal status, the same darga of learning, therefore I can also paskin, in this case, use the shechita knife to then feel that it is straight and being able to then be permitted for shechita.